in a coffee shop in a city, which is every coffee shop in every city on a day, which is every day. Hello, friends, and welcome to the 33rd episode of Barista Unfiltered, a podcast dedicated to the life and times of baristas. They tell us what's brewing in their lives and work in this free-flowing and unfiltered podcast. I'm Jodie Lee.
And I'm Austin Miller.
We are your hosts, and we are so glad you've joined us again. Today, our guest is Pat Davis, and I'm not going to tell you a whole lot about her because I want you just to experience her. She is an event in and of herself. Hey. She is a barista who works, get this, 1 block from the beach in Surf City, North Carolina, and that means that she is living my dream life. So, of course, I had to walk up in that shop and meet her. So, welcome to the podcast, Pat.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.
Welcome, Pat.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for joining us. It took a while for
time happens, but at least we got it right.
She has been persistent and she is valiant. So first thing we want to know is what kind of coffee you had today. It's 1:30 your time in the afternoon, so you may have had more than one, but just tell us what's going on in your coffee loving world.
This is my favorite. It's Guatemalan and half and half. And it's like my 4th cup. I'm not going to lie.
Is it Guatemala dark roast or
medium?
Medium.
I could tell you all my secrets, but then I'd have to kill you. What fun would that be?
I'll just have to come spy.
So, have you had the same kind of coffee all day long?
No, I had the most horrible pot of coffee this morning. I swear to God, I made it myself. It was terrible. I couldn't wait to get to my shop.
What was so terrible about it?
It was bitter. It was just vile.
What was it, like old beans that you had crammed back behind the refrigerator?
I'm not going to lie. There could have been some truth to that. I'm not.
Maybe a little bit of mold mixed in.
I didn't question it. It was awful.
Sometimes we're desperate, you know.
Did you work today, Pat?
No, I did not. I spent my morning baking. I have a beautiful sister-in-law that just flew in last night, and I wanted her to have a home-cooked West Virginia meal, so I baked all morning.
What did you bake?
I baked homemade pepperoni rolls, I baked a cake, and I made a pot of chili, and homemade sweet pea.
Nice.
Oh, that sounds good.
It went down easy.
Do you have any
Pepperoni
secrets
rolls
for your chili recipe?
No, it changes every time I make it. Just depends on what I've got on hand.
Oh, yeah.
But the pepperoni rolls, those are the best secret in the universe. It needs to get out.
So what do you use for the breading on the pepperoni roll?
Bread.
Or the dough? Do you make it?
White dough. Just white dough.
Just white dough. Okay.
The secret's in how you put it together. It's a wonderful thing.
Is there a marinara in there too?
Nope. It's just pure, sweet, homemade love.
So cheese, pepperoni, and dough.
Nope. Pepperoni and dough.
No cheese.
No, you don't need it.
Huh. Do you dip it in anything?
Yeah. Dip it in the chili. It's a wonderful thing.
Dip it in the chili?
Yeah. If I didn't have peanut butter sandwiches, or I would have done it with peanut butter.
Oh, man.
I gotta teach you.
I wish we were there. You do. All right. Well, Austin, what did you drink this morning?
Actually, today I needed to get breakfast because I didn't eat anything last night. So I ran to Whole Foods and I ended up drinking this weird, black cherry energy drink. Because they have they have a giant refrigerator all full of different ways that you can get caffeine. So if you don't have coffee, you can drink weird black cherry energy drinks with, I don't even know what, all these vitamins and minerals, and then also probably double the amount of caffeine. I don't know, some weird crap. I mean, it tasted pretty good. Yeah.
It's like a White Claw without that alcohol.
Basically, yeah. It's like a White Claw with no alcohol, but twice caffeine. Yeah, you described it.
And so you're flying high now.
I'm doing all right.
But 0 carbs, baby.
Yeah. But I miss coffee.
I went over to the Otis coffee shop, which is like 10 minutes drive from my house. But it is snowing here. So there was ice and snow all over my car, and it's 25 degrees, and it's noon.
Sorry.
It's
It's
gonna
82
snow.
here. I'm
It's
going to the
gonna
beach after this, okay?
Oh my God, take me with you. It's gonna snow here for like the next forever. It's not getting out of the 20s for like a week.
I spent the past week laying out on the beach. It was like in the 80s. It was beautiful. I rode my bike there. But now today, like, because there's these fires in Northern California, which I'm sure that y'all have probably heard about. There's really bad fires, and the winds are what's stoking them up. So I woke up today to wind, and I was like, what is going on outside? Because it was just like howling and click, it makes clicking noises because like lines blow up against your house and stuff. So I looked outside, and the sky was basically like red, and it was really windy and spooky. So I think our little summer is over now.
Well, yeah. And you have 80 degrees where you are, Pat?
Oh, yeah, it's a glorious day.
Oh my God.
You know what I'll be doing after this?
You'll be shelling.
Yeah. Oh, my God. You want to see what I found last week?
Yes, and then I'll describe it for everybody who's listening.
Okay, this is the first one.
Okay. Oh my God. It is a shark tooth at least 5 inches long from the gum line of the tooth down to the point that it's actually been eroded away. So it was longer than that before it fossilized. That's huge.
And then a
There's
half
more.
hour later.
And it's just as big. But this one that's a lemon shark, isn't it?
No, this is actually an auriculatus, which is before the megalodon.
Okay. Wow. Again, like 4 inches long.
Wait, you said before the megalodon. Is that like a dinosaur shark?
Well,
the megalodon
is
too.
Sharks like that. It was a predecessor to the megalodon, so it was earlier. Yeah. So
okay,
all teeth are fossils, right?
Let's get into this right now, because nobody knows about shark's teeth. If you're like not a coastal person, people don't know about this. I've been hunting for shark's teeth since I was a little kid. So my dad taught me how to do it right about the same time he was teaching me to look for 4-leaf clovers. And it really is the same kind of skill. You just have to be persistent, be really good at squatting, and be willing to do it for hours. So along the North Carolina coast, a lot of fossilized shark's teeth wash on shore. It's a daily thing around Topsail Beach, which is the island that Surf City is on. So when you cross from the mainland of North Carolina over to Topsail Island, the first city you encounter is Surf City, and that is where Pat's coffee shop is. If you make a left turn and go up the island, you're on North Topsail Beach, and if you make a right turn, you're headed to Topsail Beach. So those are the 3 main towns on the island of Topsail Island, and that island is littered with shark's teeth.
Yes,
so yeah, people like to go out every day and search the rack line. If you don't know what a rack line is, every day when the high tide comes in, and it happens twice a day, the ocean brings onshore debris in the form of shells, corals, glass, teeth, seaweed, like just all kinds of things. And as the tide washes out, that debris forms what we call the rack line. And depending on how the water is coming in, you could have multiple rack lines. And that is where beachcombers go, like the beachcombers like Pat and me. We like to get out there and just stare at it and find all the little treasures in it. So I'm going to tell us, why don't you tell a story about how we met? Do you remember it?
I remember somebody with about 8 other bodies coming into my coffee shop, and I'm knee-deep in a conversation with a bunch of customers about shark teeth, where to find them, and insert you. It was incredible. We had a great time.
Yes. So her coffee shop probably, what's the maximum occupancy there? 10?
Come again?
What is the maximum occupancy of your coffee shop? Is
3?
it like 10? 3?
We have like 178 square feet of love here. It's very small.
It's fantastic. But we piled about 20 people in there because my whole family was trying to get on a pontoon boat and the pontoon guy was late because it was just after a hurricane. So they had taken the pontoon boats like inland. And so he was trying to help us out by renting it to us, but it was far away and it didn't have gas and blah, blah, blah. And so he was getting later and later. And I had these 20 people I was trying to move around the island. And so I said, let's go get coffee. And they all like piled up in around Pat, and she was like, it was like the opposite of a clown car. Like we were piling into the clown car of her coffee shop, and she was like, "Where are all these people coming from?" She couldn't quite
We
figure out
made
who they
room.
all
We
were.
did good.
It was good. It was so good. But anyway, so when I walked into her coffee shop, she had shark's teeth just scattered on the coffee counter, and she pulled out some of the big ones, and I knew we were friends right then. It was immediate. So tell us about your coffee shop because you're sitting in it, and if folks are watching online on YouTube, you can see it. But tell everyone who's not
I
in
lost your
the
video.
video about your place.
I'm winging it. My little space, how do I say it? It's very small. It used to be an office. I managed to have it from the 18th of May, and we opened June 1st. There was a lot of scurrying and craziness going on. A couple of my kids came down from Ohio. I had one gal coming from Washington, D.C. We just kind of slapped the things together. I had people volunteering, walking through the doors. It was an amazing thing, and it gave me an immediate sense of community. And I am blessed. I know I'm blessed. Let the Lord lead. He does amazing things. And here I am on the boardwalk, 300 yards from the ocean, loving every bit of it. Absolutely amazing place to be. It's tiny here. Um, a lot of character in here. You got to have character if you're going to be small. I want them to look at something other than me, and we have lots of that to see. So it's a very blessed place for me. And my dad always told me that if you love what you do, you don't work. You'll never work a day in your life. This is my retirement dream come true. So I am blessed.
Have you always wanted to be a coffee shop owner?
No, I actually went into an art gallery to look for a shark tooth and came out with a coffee shop. That's just the way things work. It's a very spontaneous thing, and the Lord led me, and here I am.
Tell us that story. What shop were you in?
It was a little
How did this
tiny place.
happen?
It was called the Mermaid's Purse. It was an art gallery. There were about 80 local artists and vendors, and they had their stuff in there. And the owner of the place, Patty, was showing me around, showing me what she had, and she had a vacant kitchen. And I said, "You need me here." And she said, "Why?" I said, "I want to put in a coffee shop." She said, "Okay." I had no clue what I was doing, nowhere to start. I had my sister-in-law's help. We went and we toured a place called Java Estate Roasteries. They're a local roastery here in Hampstead, probably about 20 minutes from my shop. I liked what I saw. The more I learned about them, I liked their testimony. They started a barista program in the high school, and it gives kids an opportunity to learn a trade, whether they're going to college or whether they're just going out. And I liked that. And the more I learned, the more I liked. And before you know it, I'm buying coffee stuff and becoming the coffee lady.
So did they teach you your barista skills?
Well, I don't know if I have barista skills. I just make a cup of coffee. I went in and they taught me how to use my espresso machine. I had the owner of Java Estate teach me for about an hour, and that's it. So I'm not your average barista.
The more you do it, the better you get, though. Even after years later, you still get better and better at it.
There's always something to learn. The fun part is I'm small. When customers come in, I tell them that my menu's a guide. I want to give them what they want. They make up flavors, and it delights me. I learn as much from my customers, and it's a very enjoyable experience. And sometimes they come in and they blindside me with something crazy, and I just look at them and I say, "What?" And they back the train up, and we do it together. But it's a wonderful experience. It's just totally different than what they're used to, and they like that. And so do I. The connections are great.
So you started at, go ahead, Austin.
I was gonna say, as long as you're willing to have a conversation with somebody about what they want, and you're fortunate to be like in a small space, so you can take the time and like figure out what somebody's talking about, even if you don't know exactly the words they're using. You just like narrow it down and you dial it in, right?
Exactly. And the thing that is what I've learned is the people are very patient. You're on island time, is what they call it here. It's a relaxing thing. I've had people tell me that it's like therapy watching me make the drinks. So they don't mind the wait. I try to be as fast and efficient as I can, but we have a great time. You know how we end up talking. I mean, you came in, we talked for basically 3 days when you were there the first day. But that's part of it. And the saddest day is Saturday when everybody leaves. You make connections with your customers, and I believe that we need to have more of that in the world, more one-on-one learning with one another.
Hmm. So Topsail Island has a lot of private homes on it, and the land was made available, I think, in the 60s. And a lot of North Carolinians who wanted coastal property bought these little pieces of land up, like quarter acre, half acre plots, and they built these small homes. But the island has been ravaged by hurricanes over the decades, and so there still are a lot of those small homes that aren't on stilts, and you can find them on the island. But for the most part, the building codes now require that you build a home up off of the dunes and uh, and don't have any kind of real dwelling on that first main floor. So those homes that aren't grandfathered in are much higher, and as such, they're really appealing for vacation homes. So what she's talking about, that weekly cycle, is that most people on the north half of the island, and those are the ones coming to Surf City for coffee mainly. They're on a Saturday to Saturday vacation rental. So they arrive Saturday, they depart Saturday. South of the actual Topsail Beach town, that's where I always rent. It's Sunday to Sunday. So same thing, it's a weekly rental. And they do allow, like, they have a couple little hotels on the island where you can just rent one night or two, but the vast majority of people who experience the island go for the entire week, and they really do settle into the community and find the little shops and shopkeepers that they adore. So there is that rhythm in the island. If you're a Topsail Beach goer and you haven't yet met Pat, you need to head on down to Surf City Coffee and have that experience for sure.
Thank
It's
you.
right on the
I
main
appreciate that.
drag.
I
Yeah.
love it.
What so you started your coffee shop after they restructured the bridge. So now there's a big bridge that's high and allows all the ships to pass. It's a big change for the island because until this year there's been a swinging bridge, and you live your life basically around sunrise, high tide, low tide, and the bridge, because the bridge would swing open on the hour, every hour, if there was a ship that needed to pass. Now they have a high rise bridge, so everybody can just come and go from the mainland without having to coordinate your life around whether or not it would be swinging. And then they restructured the roads, so the roads are a little bit different now.
Now, we
um,
had an education on that. Everybody knows what a turnaround is now, whether they
yes.
want to or not. A few baptisms by fire. We saw a few going backwards, a few that had no clue, but you finally get the hang of it, and it starts flowing. Um, it's a give and take about which one that I would have cared for most. There is a certain charm when you came onto that island and you had to stop for that swing bridge motion, and it opened up. And for me, it was charming. I called it the boat parade. You never knew whether it was going to be shrimpers or somebody with a sailboat. It was just a glorious sight to see. You open your windows, you smell that air, and you know that you're finally here. So it's like a coming of age, if you will. I'm across the bridge, it's vacation. Now, when they took that away, there were a lot of people that were worried about what it would do to the charm of the place. I get it. I respect that. But every morning when I come across that big bridge and I see that sun coming up over the horizon, and I thank God for it every day, it is postcard beautiful when you see that sound and there's the ocean and just kind of hit you. You're here. You're in paradise. And I love that.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Oak Island Bridge. Austin, have you been to Oak Island?
I haven't.
Yeah.
No,
Or even
I've
I
been to
think
Topsail.
yeah, I think
Hmm.
Wrightsville might have a bridge like this where it just goes up so high that you can see over. You can see over
I
all
have
the
somebody watching
houses.
me from afar.
Hello, podcast friend. Um, but you can see, so it's like you're coming in like with an aerial view almost of the island. It
It's
is magnificent. But I do miss the rumble. You know, that rumble, the old bridge used to make your whole car vibrate when you went over it, and it would last for maybe 5 seconds, like, and that sound means you're on vacation.
I
And
love
then
it.
when you heard it on the way out, you're like, oh, vacation's over.
Yeah.
So I still hear it. Do you know what I mean? Like because I'm so used to going. I've been going to Topsail for 25 years, I think. And
No, you
so,
have been blessed. I never even knew it
yeah.
existed until my sister-in-law brought me down here for my 50th birthday, and I had never seen the ocean per se.
Mhm.
And when I saw it here for the first time, I was just stunned at the beauty of it, the nature of it, everything about it. And it's such a quaint community. And as you get to know people here, there's a very big sense of family and community. And you have business owners coming in, popping in just to say, hey, it's just, you feel right. And I've never quite felt like that before. It's an amazing feeling, this place.
Yeah, I know you've received a lot of support from the folks on the island. And the couple days I was in there, I saw some of the same faces from the taco bar across the street. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Tell us about some of the characters.
Oh, the characters at Shaka Taco are absolutely amazing. We've got two gentlemen, Cody and Steve. They're very energetic, very into the environment, and they're just wonderful guys. They come in, they check with me, they love their Americanos, and I'm here for them for that. But their kids come in, their employees, everybody's a kid if they're under my age, okay? Sorry, that's how I am. But they come in every day, they get to know you, you know what they want, you start making it as soon as you see them crossing the parking lot. And that's just all part of it. They actually came in so much that I felt guilty for charging them full price all the time. I just wanted to give them a break, but I'm kind of scattered and couldn't keep track. So we started a little program that if they bought 6 drinks, they get a free one. And I believe in customer service. I want good value. And that's just a way that I can thank them for being a part of me. And
Yeah.
then beside me, there's a lovely place called Peak. It's owned by a man named Andy. He's been with me since day one. They're right on the money. I had to have surgery right after I opened the shop, and he was very good about helping the girls see if they needed anything and just generally supporting me. And you can't ask for more than that. You really can't. And so it makes you want to give back as you receive, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Um, when did you start drinking coffee?
I was always a tea drinker, and a few years back, my mom got sick. She was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. I was the first person she forgot, and my daddy was the second. And I went from a daily phone call with my mother to a daily phone call with my father, and he was a coffee drinker. So as a hat tip to dad, he would go out on his porch, and I would go out on mine, and we both have a cup of coffee, and that's how we would share our day. And I became a coffee drinker through that.
Mhm. And a great support to your dad in the process.
He blessed me in many ways. It's a two-sided coin. Um, Even in the worst of times, you can find gold in it. You have to look sometimes harder, but that makes the blessings more special.
Austin, did you have a question?
No.
No. Okay. You just look like you might want to say something.
That
So
is just
you're not,
unbelievable. I'm sorry to be so deep, but it was true. I had to say
Yeah.
truth.
oh, he's fine with that depth. Um, you're not from North Carolina, so tell us how you got there, because you're a West Virginia girl.
I was born and raised in Hills, West Virginia. Um, I have 4 older brothers, so in order to keep up, I learned how to fish. I learned how to hunt. I still to this day enjoy hunting with a muzzle loader. And yes, you heard that right. Um, I got married, moved to Northern Virginia, and was there for a few years. We started having kids and came back to West Virginia. And my husband got transferred to Ohio. It's about an hour away from where we grew up. We got a horse farm there, raised our kids. And like I said, my sister-in-law brought me back this way, and we started looking at retirement. And then I had a big disaster a couple of years ago. I had to heal, and this place is healing. I lost mom, dad, and my sister-in-law in the span of 30 days. It was hard. And I sought solace in the only place that I knew would give me peace, and it was here in Surf City. And it healed me. I became Pat again. I found myself. And through that, I decided I needed to be a part of it. And it just seems like the man upstairs has been watching me, because doors that shouldn't have opened did. Things that shouldn't have happened happened. And here I am. And I don't know how long this tide's going to be high, but I'm going to ride it for as long as I got.
Can you talk about that healing process a little bit? Like, I mean,
Okay.
everybody goes through a little bit of grief here and there, and I think we can all learn from each other, like how to move through it.
You will have days where you're just miserable, and that's okay. You'll have days where you're angry, and that's okay. For me, I could get out there, and you know how I look for the shark teeth. I finally decided to call that my prayer walk. And I would go out there, and as I would look, I would start thinking, no matter how bad my day was, of the things that I'm thankful for. And you realize just how much you take for granted. Even the littlest things you can be thankful for. And once you do that, you start the healing process. God is there, your family's there, but sometimes you need to disconnect and just be. And you go out there, and it's corny, but so am I, and I can't help it. The tide comes in, and shells come up at your feet. The tide goes out, and it comes back in. And just for that 1 second in time, he thinks enough of you to show you that, and that's special. And once you learn that you are that important, you can start healing, and then you become who you need to be.
Mm. I always think of what happens at the shoreline as like it's an easy archaeological experience, because
Amen.
you don't have to dig. You don't have to dig for the fossils. They just come up at you. You just
Isn't it
have to be
crazy?
willing. You have to be willing to sit and look for them.
Yeah.
But like it's like going on an archaeological dig without all the dirt.
You're going to make me spit out my coffee. You said that very well. And it does
I
change from area to area. The south end of the island holds something entirely different than the middle, and entirely different still from the north end. It depends on season, storms, tides. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think there's something so healing in just being connected to the simple things in life, like the amount of sunshine, the tide, the just the rhythm of a space. And I don't feel that rhythm as profoundly anywhere else on the planet as I feel it at the shoreline.
That's
So
true.
there's something about the water just reminding you there's a rhythm here.
Just
It's
remember,
different.
all that snow you're getting is just
Yeah,
frozen water. So attach yourself to that rhythm.
I know. I gotta just shovel that shit too, though.
I tried. I was just
Anyway,
trying.
we're
I mean,
not getting into my bad
even
attitude.
dogs know it. Like being here, and like everybody takes their dog to the beach, and you can tell as soon as you get your dog to the beach and you let it go, the dog just runs and goes. Even if they don't like the water, like the dog has a response, a reaction to being on the beach. And it's, people have the same thing, but it's like a lot more obvious watching a dog, because they'll just, they're all ego, so they'll just like run and go crazy, and you can just see it. But you understand the feeling. You know what the dog's feeling, even if you're not acting that way.
I hadn't really thought about that. You're right. The first time I have a border collie, and I took her to the beach at Topsail. There's the beach access points, and I had like an umbrella, a chair, blah, 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 and I got it all set up. And then I went back to the car to get her. And, she's a great dog. She's normally, stays on a leash, blah, blah, blah. So we go over the beach access point. It's the first time I think she's seen the ocean, right?
Yeah.
And like, if I could have seen her eyes, I'm sure that they popped out of her head. What I remember is that she shrugged, and she was out of the leash and collar and gone.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
she just ran as far away from me as possible north. And I couldn't catch her. So I just stood there, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And all the people around me were like, what are you gonna do? I was like, I don't know. I can't get her. I have no. And then she ran as far as I could see, she ran. And then she stopped, almost like, wait, where's my person? And
Oh,
then came all the way back to me and then ran all the way south as far as she could. And that was her game. She would like orient around me, just running as far away in one direction and then come back and far away in the other direction and come back. And she was blissed out. I haven't really ever put that together, Austin, that they're just like, they're holding it in their bodies and just letting it loose,
Yeah.
like in a way that humans just don't.
But I think humans feel like when you go out on the beach, you feel that. It's like this whole
Yeah.
feeling of like freedom.
Yeah.
it's the ability to disconnect. When people come into the coffee shop, the main reason that I have those teeth there is I want to educate them. But my main goal is if I can get a family interested enough, I tell them where the teeth are, they go out, and they actually come back and they tell me what they've done as a family. And for that amount of time, they put down the games, they put down the phones, and they've just connected with each other. And we need more of that. And so I'm all about that. And, if it takes a little hand holding for it, that's the way we should be.
And that is the best to teach somebody.
Totally
If
lost what you
I
said.
probably had a tooth for every time. Um, at Topsail Beach in particular, I have made dozens of friends teaching them how to find shark's teeth because there's a way that a person looks when they're looking for shark's teeth. And so beachcombers who don't know how to find them, they know what you're doing and they want to learn it. And you can teach somebody in just about 5 minutes. And
Oh, yeah.
then they go on and find one. What I do is I show them like how to look on the rack line for like the orangey spray of the right kind of thing, like the right
Oh,
kind of
see, you're
shell.
nice like that. I'm more direct. I see them looking and I throw shark teeth at them. I let them and the conversation starts.
Well, what I'll do is I'll take them to an area and I'll find the tooth real easy, and then I'll just draw a box in the sand and I'll say it's in this box, and I'll give them like a couple minutes to find it, right? And then they find it, and I'm like, so now you know what to do. You just keep going, and you'll eventually be able to share this with somebody else. But there is that is a surefire way to make a friend at Topsail.
Yes, ma'am.
It
Fat and
really
good
is.
coffee.
And delicious coffee. I want to talk about the art that's in your coffee shop.
Yes, ma'am.
So there is a board of jewelry, mostly earrings, isn't it?
The gentleman that makes those is a friend of mine. He's got necklaces and anklets and earrings and things. He's a retired U.S. federal marshal. He's 6'7". He's got tattoos and the handlebar mustache, and he can be rather intimidating to look at. But he's a gentle, wonderful man. I met him and his wife a while back, and it just so happens they live within a mile of me. Things work the way you need them to, and I love his work. The prices are good. I like what he stands for, and so he's in my shop. I have a lady by the name of Desiree Horton, and she lives in Porter's Neck, which is relatively local. And she makes handmade mugs for me, and I'm the only person in the world she makes them for. I'm small, but I like to be exclusive. And I want people to come in and go, I've never seen anything like that. So when you come into my shop and you see a 2-foot-tall giraffe with jewels all over it, you're going, what the heck is that? And that's the way my life rolls. I've got a little turtle in here, and it's all pearls. And they're real pearls. This is an example of Desiree's work. And so you can see they're very handmade, very sweet, and the prices are nice. And I want people to come in here and see handmade things and know that they're not priced beyond, thank you, beyond compare. I want people to come in and see something
There's
like
the turtle.
and go,
Wow.
what in the world is this? And it's made of handmade beads and hand-cut agate. And her name is Aggie, and I made her. And
That's
it's
beautiful.
just, thank you. It's part of the charm of the place. People come in and expect the unexpected. I have the only state, well, let's see, how do I say that? I am the only business in the state of North Carolina that sells Mr. B potato chips. That is a hat tip to my home state of West Virginia. And it's just, when people come in here and they're on vacation and they go, oh, wait, look at this, Mr. B's. Do you see this? They
Yeah.
go, okay, it's a cult thing. And they get it. And so they're calling me up and saying, can you order? And I said, well, of course I can. It's it's the individuality, it's the craziness that makes my coffee shop work. I'm quirky, they get it, they like it, and that's all I know how to be.
They appreciate it too.
Thank you.
Um, do you have a project you're working on currently, like something weird that you're trying to bring in?
Yeah, my 12-foot tall Christmas tree. I've started. Well, it was the first thing I bought when I bought my new house, and I want it to be beach themed, and so I'm gathering up all of my shells and figuring out what exactly I'm going to do with that. So I'm knee deep into that right now. I'm starting to work on. There are certain ways that I make shells. People like them as Christmas ornaments, and I sell those here. It's just there's always something different in the mind going on. There's a lady that owns an art gallery here on the island. She's a wonderful human being, and I just fell in love with her the moment I saw her. She's teaching me how to paint. You should always try something new and out of your box. And I've always wanted to paint the water, so she's teaching me how. But you're constantly growing, and everything evolves and changes. So from day to day, you never know what I'm going to be working on.
Hmm.
Is your Christmas tree outdoors or is it going to be inside your house?
It's going to be inside my house. I have 14-foot ceilings in my living room, and I'm just aching to decorate that tree. I know it's a little early yet, but the thoughts are already on this.
So you don't actually have the tree itself. You're just making what you're going to put on the tree.
Yes, the tree is in my garage, but I've got to
Oh,
make these super-sized ornaments because you can't put little tiny things on a great big tree. It just don't
uh-uh.
work. And I like what we call back home a gaudy Christmas tree. If you can see the limbs, you haven't done it right.
Now, are you a white lights or colored lights person?
I'm a very old-fashioned colored light person. We actually buy these little things. They're about the size of dimes. They're little round balls, and I found them about 30 years ago. And my daughter found them in a retro store online, and they're just fabulous and they're different. I don't like twinkle lights. I want them to be solid. I
Mm,
can't help it. What are you?
People
so
are
relaxing.
people are so funny with their opinions about that. Like my brother and I both like the colored lights, and my mom was definitely a white light person, but she put up with us and humored us for all those years. And as soon as we got out of the house, she switched over to white lights.
I love it.
She's so good to you.
But
I like,
the exchange for that was we had to go around and turn on all the lights and do all the every night, like light everything up. And I think if we had stopped doing that, we would have not been holding up our end of the bargain, and she would have switched over.
Well, you got to give and take, man. Give
Yeah.
and take.
well, this is something I'm curious about. When I told you I wanted you to be on the podcast, you mentioned you have experience as a DJ.
Yes, I do.
Tell me about that.
Well, there are times when my man voice helps me. When I'm looking to, making phone calls about car repair and they call me sir, that's really a great thing. When I was young, I still had the deep voice, and my older brother was a disc jockey, and I just hounded him to death to go see what he did. And so I went, I watched him work, and I would do all the spinning of the 45s and the run of the boards, and he would do the voiceovers. I was 9, and I fell in love with it. I was totally infatuated. And the owner of the station came in and he caught us. And I thought my brother would be fired, but instead he asked me what I was doing. And I told him, he said, does she know what she's doing? He said, yeah. He said, do you want to learn? I said, sure. So I went and took classes. Back then you had to be able to take apart the transmitters, put them back together, do different things like that. So you had to take a test through the Federal Communications Commission. And I did that, and I became a licensed DJ, and I got my very first paycheck when I was 11 years old. And
Wow.
I worked weekend shift. I did everything from gospel to bluegrass to rock to country. Loved it all. And I did that until I got married at 19.
That's crazy. Do you miss it?
No, I don't think so. I mean, this is a fun thing for me. I'm a lot more comfortable with it than I thought it would be. But being around the customers every day, gives me that opportunity to have my voice. And I believe in what I do. People know that. They respect it. And in a way, it's just as personal. And I like it.
Yeah. Do you sing?
Not really good, but my mom always said if you can't sing good, sing loud. So I
Right. Right.
no, I play the drums, and I've been
Okay.
known to pick up a banjo. I can do about 3 chords, and if anybody knows banjos, you can play just about anything in the universe with 3 chords.
With 3 chords. Like C, F, and G? Is that what it is for the banjo?
I couldn't tell you that, but I could tell you where to put the fingers. That's all I got. I just,
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, lots of people, especially with old time musical instruments, a lot of times musicians can't talk about it. And this is true of you ukuleles in Hawaii, because you learn in a song circle. And so you literally just learn from watching and mimicking.
yes.
So you might not know any music theory, might not be able to speak about it, but you could play better than somebody who's got an actual music degree from a college.
It's amazing
So
how that works, isn't it?
it is amazing. Yeah, in Hawaii they call that a kanakapila
I
when
don't think
you're
I'm going to be putting
together.
anybody out of business with my abilities. You, however, impressed me at the beginning of the show. I'm just going to say.
I love to play, but I don't think I'm fantastic at it. I just like to do. But guess what? I just bought. You're not gonna believe this, and maybe
What?
you know. Maybe you know about this. There's an instrument on this planet that is the combination hybrid of a banjo and a ukulele. It is called the banjo laylee.
I love it.
It is the best thing ever. So you're using the same chord shapes in the left hand as you do with the ook, but it makes that planka 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 plank
Oh my
noise of
god.
the banjo. It is amazing. So I
I
just
have
got it a
to,
couple weeks ago.
my my uncle years and years ago. He's always made guitars, and he loved a mandolin, and he loved a guitar. So he actually made three. He called them mandgitars, and they played like a mandolin, but they sounded like a guitar. So
That's
it's funny
brilliant.
that you're sitting here playing. I can't wait to hear you play this instrument.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, I just got it like 2 weeks ago.
Sweet.
Hmm.
Okay,
So
you know what
fun.
we do for fun. Now, what do you do for fun, sir?
Who, me?
Yeah, you're the only
uh,
sir here.
I love riding my bike, go out to the beach. Like whenever I have a day off. There's a beach right underneath the Golden Gate Bridge, called Marshall's Beach, and I'll ride my bike out there and go hiking around at the beach. I work at a coffee shop 2 blocks from where I live, so I'm pretty social in this neighborhood. So I spend a lot of time just like socializing with people in the neighborhood. I take care of people's dogs, so I'm
Sweet.
walking dogs around all the time. Those are
That
some of
sounds
the things
good.
that, yeah, yeah, it's a good, it's a good life here. I love
I
this neighborhood.
understand that.
Yeah.
I started opening my shop 7 days a week. I open from 7 to 1, and people always gather about a quarter to 1, just as everything is spotlessly clean. They all come in, and
Oh
I
yeah.
tell them, yeah, I told them I'm going to start charging a cover, and they can stay as late as they want, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I got plans for this little coffee shop. Come spring, we're going to do the 7 days a week. We're going to keep the 7 to 1. We're going to close it down and then open again from 3 to 8 at night. I'm very excited about that. I've got some really good people that are working with me. I've got one gal that's got it all going on. She actually went through the barista program at Topsail High School. Her name is Grace. She's 18. She's just as sweet as she can be. And she's going to trade school to become a welder. How cool is that?
That's
So
And
awesome.
cool.
it's very diverse. My best friend, who I met here in the rain on the beach, she's 64. Shh, don't hate me, Marla. But it's just we're a very eclectic group,
And you
and
so
she
you have other people working there with you,
yes, I do.
working behind the.
Yeah, yeah. I have to. I have to breathe sometimes. You know what it's like.
Yeah.
So I feel it progressing. I think we've got a good thing going here. I'm excited about the prospects, what the new year's going to bring, and I want these people to stay with me. They're just such a part of my life. I can't even imagine them not being here. So
I
they
I
don't
have a
have a.
feeling I'm gonna get in there sometime because I'm way overdue for a trip to Topsail. I have a friend that built a house down there a number of years ago, and I still haven't been to visit.
Um,
So
it is perhaps more beautiful in the fall. You don't have the humidity as bad. Stars are clearer at night. The waves are clear. There's just something breathtaking about the intensity of the sun out there that time of year. You
Yeah.
need to do.
And the ocean's still fairly warm in the autumn as well, right? You can still go swimming.
Yes.
Well, I'm an odd-natured person. I waded every day but two last year. I There's just something about being grounded to the water, grounded to the sea. I think it keeps you healthy, and I go out there. I can't help it.
That's the
I'm
one
just
thing about the water here. You stick your feet, the water is freezing out here compared to the Atlantic.
Sometimes it can be like a bath here,
Yeah.
but then it's the shark, so you got to take the good with the bad, man.
Yeah.
So after we came to your coffee shop and we got on the pontoon boat, my little cousin Kingston, with the broken arm, you remember him?
Yeah.
He was wanting to fish. He is a really active kid. We couldn't do most of the things that we would normally do with him because his arm was broken and we had to he had pins after he had to have it set with a surgery. So he had pins inside that cast and we just couldn't have any kind of water, on it. So we decided we'd teach him how to fish because he wanted to learn to do that.
With the
And
broken
so,
arm.
and with a broken arm, right? But I mean, he's pretty resourceful. He's a scrappy kid. He will make the best of a bad situation any moment. He's really resilient, wonderful kid. So anyway, we loaded up on the pontoon boat, and my husband drove us around on those little islands that are between in the intercoastal waterway off the shoreline. And so we just ran the pontoon boat up against a little sandbar somewhere because there's thousands of them out there. And he cast his line out. The first thing he caught was an octopus.
Oh my goodness. Who took that off the hook?
Well, his mama tried. And you know how octopuses they like bend their arms and swirl them around you, or I guess their legs. But anyway, Brandy was trying to get the octopus's leg off of the hook, and it was one of those hooks that's like actually three hooks.
Oh yeah.
It was just near impossible to get anything off of it. And so she was over there trying to disconnect the octopus from it. And of course it would like bring a leg up and she's like, stop, I'm trying to help you. Stop grabbing me. But eventually it worked its way off the line. But I mean, that was just spectacular for him to catch an octopus, the very first thing he ever caught on a fishing line. We saw two of them that week.
Oh my. That might ruin me for life. I'm just saying. I don't think I could deal with all that.
They're such incredible animals. The first one that we saw, we were paddleboarding over to a sandbar, and it would just, spread its body out, like with its legs on either side of it. And then when we would get close, it would align itself so that its head was forward, its legs were behind it, and it would swim just along the shore with us. That was really neat. They're magical.
Everything's magical. You just have to find the magic.
It's true. It's true. I just love Topsail Beach. I swear, every time I go there, it just gives and gives and gives to
Well, there's
me.
just something special about it. I mean, you got a 26-mile long island. It's a turtle sanctuary. So starting in the spring, you've got the wonder of the big ones coming up. They're laying their eggs. And then there's the anticipation of waiting. And then when those little ones come out of those nests, it's absolutely amazing. And I got to see that 5 times in 1 year a couple of years ago. And it was just like a blessing every time. You never get tired of seeing things like that. And I don't know, there's just something about this place.
So you guys do something different with the lights there, like when the turtles are hatching, to make sure there's not lights on the beach, or
it's a lights out time. Everybody knows that. Everybody's good to respect it because of what we are and because of what people like Karen Beasley's Turtle Rescue Place, what people do around here. They're very into it. I might be putting the cart before the horse. I'm designing a couple of shirts here for my coffee shop. They will have turtles on them. You will have to see how they incorporate turtles and coffee because it's really, really cute. But what I'd like to do is every time I sell one, I'd like to put it into an account, a part of that, and I would like to sponsor a rescue turtle for my coffee shop and become part of that. What we do here is you try to become more aware of your environment. I'm trying to train people to go strawless with their cups. It's a little more expensive, but I think that if everybody does their part, if everybody does something small, it becomes something big. So whether it be buying reusable straw, they come in, they get a discount. They bring their own cups, they get a discount. Anything that you can do as a small business or a big business, that makes a big difference. And so, I want to be more involved in that, more aware of it. A couple of weekends ago, they had oh gosh, what was it called? Surf Fest. And they put together a one-day thing, and it just turned into something fantastic. They had retro surfboards out here. There was about 50 surfers. They had 5 bands going, and all the money that they raised went to help the environment in the area. And I wanted to be a part of that, and so they allowed me, and I was blessed with it. And that's how this island is. It's special here. People care.
It's magic.
I'm so deep.
I'm so glad it found you.
Oh my goodness, girl. It was just meant to be. It's been a blessing since day one.
Love that. Now, the turtles on your t-shirt.
So you guys, this is a good break. Pardon me for just a sec. This is a good break for me. I've got to run. I got to go to work. Pat, it was such a pleasure talking with you today. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your conversation. I'll be listening to it after it's already up.
All right, I'm counting on seeing you down here.
Mwah.
Take care.
Bye, y'all.
And just like that, we're 2.
All right. Which is probably too much anyway, right? Tell me this. Are your turtles going to be bedazzled?
The rescue turtles, no.
No.
But
okay.
Every time I make a turtle, it's going to be bedazzled because that's the way I roll.
That's what I was thinking.
I can't.
Yeah, I mean, bedazzled turtle. I feel like that's your essence.
That right there, it's just an amazing thing. I bedazzle everything. If you sat long enough in my shop, you could be in trouble. I would bedazzle your ears.
Yeah, you might walk out decorated a little more.
Yeah, bring that uke and I'll hook it up,
Oh, man. Yeah, did you see my ukulele? It's got some bedazzling on it.
Bring it.
I don't know if you could see it. It's got abalone shells.
Oh, it's beautiful. I like that.
And the shells all go all the way up to the headstock.
I see that. Very nice.
That's the main reason I bought this ukulele was the abalone shells on it.
And here I thought it was because it sounded so good. What do I know?
I know. I had been picking that ukulele up. I shopped for probably 6 months before I got a serious one. And I would always pick that one up because of the shells. And I kept telling myself, I can't buy a ukulele based on shells. It needs to sound good. I'm in this orchestra and I can't just buy something because it's pretty. And then I went to my orchestra conductor's shop where he sells the ukuleles and he hands it to me. He's like, play this one. And I said, oh, I already love that one. I know about, can I have that? Because I thought that was like a toy because it's so pretty. And I said, you can't have that for orchestra. And he was like, of course you can. Wait. And as soon as I had his permission, I was like, I'll buy it. And he was like, well, you need to play it. I was like, I already know I love it.
Oh, my goodness. That's great.
That's how I got it.
That's a win-win right there.
I know. It's funny that I ever hesitated, but I can't imagine playing another ukulele seriously because I just love the way that one looks and feels, and it has a beautiful sound too. So I just love it. Yeah.
That's what we get when we start hesitating. We miss out on things. Take your chance.
It's true. It's true. I am hearing that in your story over and over just to go with the flow.
Yep.
It's a good reminder.
Not always perfect, but it works.
Yeah.
And, you make the best of it, and things come back to you. It's good.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad I found you.
I'm glad you found me, too. This has been a very fun time with you today. I didn't know what to expect. It's been very relaxing, and I've enjoyed my coffee, and hey, I just think it's a wonderful thing that you're doing.
And you, too. I'm impressed with all that you got going on in such a small space. You really are living my dream life. I'm going to have to eventually, be you.
Well, I'm sorry, but as long as I have breath in my lungs, you will not be me here.
No, I'll just be there with you, enjoying the coffee and the conversation.
That sounds like a good deal.
I still wear my earrings, those little auger earrings I got from your board.
Oh, I get you. I understand completely. I
I
love it.
love them. I love them.
Well, anytime you get tired of that snow, we'll hook you up
Ugh,
down here.
I know. I need to find ways to be at Topsail Beach more often.
Well, he can hook you up. He's got a friend that has a house here, right? It's
That's
who you know.
true. It's all who you know. That
You're
is the truth.
welcome.
All right, my dear. Well, let me wrap this up. Do you have anything else you want to share?
I don't know what it would be unless it would
No.
just be to tell everybody to live each day like it's your last,
Yeah.
pray to do it right, be kind to one another, and live your dream.
Live your dream. I know you certainly are. You're giving the advice. You're taking the advice that you're giving.
It took me
I
a
love
long
that.
time to figure that out, but I think I'm finally getting it.
Yeah, I think you are too. Well, listen, as we end up this episode, I want to again thank you, Pat Davis, for being with us today, and thank all of our listeners for joining us. We want to hear from you guys. So if you know a barista or a coffee industry expert that needs to be featured on our show, just write to us and tell us, and we'll reach out to that person and get them on. The email address is info@baristaunfiltered.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. And we thank you all for subscribing on YouTube. That helps us get found out in the world, just like reviews on Apple's iTunes podcast app. So if you can go on there and just say a few words, that really does help us find new listeners. And our audience is growing every day. We're over 100 like regular listeners now, and that just thrills us to no end. So we've got podcast patrons through Patreon. And so thanks to you guys for keeping us going. If you want to join the cool kids that support the podcast, head on over to patreon.com/baristaunfiltered. You can find us there and donate it any amount or whatever schedule works for your budget. And with that, we'll sign off. I'm Jodie Lee, and I thank you, Pat Davis.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Good to see you.
Y'all be good. Stay caffeinated, friends. Bye.